Quiero darles la bienvenida a esta sesión de hoy. Más que nada quiero decirles que este es el inicio del taller del área de imágenes de medios virtuales, o de enseñar imágenes de medios virtuales, que lo iniciamos hoy por cuestiones logísticas, ¿no? Con el viaje de la conferencista invitada, y lo vamos a continuar el viernes, que va a ser una sesión de toda la mañana y terminando con 40 minutos. Entonces, cada taller tiene una modalidad diferente, ¿no? Lo han experimentado, pero el taller muy común que tratamos de hacer y es mezclar la presentación de los autores con los conferencistas magistrales que invitamos desde el extranjero. En esta ocasión tenemos a dos conferencistas muy especiales, que es Tracy Fullerton y Jules Wilkerson, que viene del proceso. Y hoy tenemos una de las conferencias magistrales. El viernes también tenemos un tercer conferencista que es Leo Osobo, que ya lo conocen ustedes. Entonces, consideran así, este es el inicio formal del taller de imágenes de medios virtuales, y quiero agradecer a la profesora Ana Luisa Solís por haber organizado el evento, ¿sí? Así es que yo dejo a Ana Luisa Solís para que les haga la presentación de cada uno de los invitados, ¿sí? Y pues agradecerles una vez más su presencia. Thank you very much, Tracy, for your visit, and thank you very much for this.
Buenos días. Voy a presentarles a la profesora Tracy Fullerton. Ella viene de la Universidad del Sur de California y su área de especialización es videojuegos, ¿sí? Juegos, y es autora de un libro que se utiliza mucho en los cursos de videojuegos, que es un workshop sobre diseño de videojuegos. En especial su área es diseño de videojuegos y se utiliza mucho en todas las universidades del mundo donde se da esta área. Ella es diseñadora de juegos, educadora, escritora por 15 años, con 15 años de experiencia profesional. Actualmente es profesora asociada en la división de medios interactivos de la Universidad del Sur de California y directora del Electronic Arts Game Innovation Lab y autora del Game Design Workshop Play-Centric Approach to Creating Innovative Games, y que es el libro de texto, ¿sí?, que ella escribió. También ha ayudado a sus estudiantes a crear juegos, y también ellos han tenido premios especiales por el diseño de sus juegos. Ella ha sido nominada para Emmy por televisión interactiva y también como el Best of the Web en el Time Magazine. Entonces, vamos a recibirla todos con un fuerte aplauso.
I'll call the Spanish, I know, so I apologize in advance. I won't attempt to speak it again. So good morning, and everyone, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you making the time. I'm here to talk about the potential of gameplay. And it's very exciting for me as a game designer because for a very long time, games have sort of gone along under the radar of culture and not been considered very important, not an art or really a science, but sort of just a very lowly form of entertainment, usually for children. And I think that now that games have evolved from folk traditions into industrial products, and most recently into international digital communities, we're starting to look at games in a new way. And as a game designer, for me, that's a very exciting moment, because we're starting to look at games really as an aesthetic form, as a form of art. I want to start with one of my favorite pictures of people at play. This is an image of thousands of people sitting on each other's lap in a trust circle. It was taken in the 1970s during something called a New Games tournament. And the New Games movement in the United States was part of the protests in the 1970s against the Vietnam War. And it was one of the few, there have been some, but one of the few political movements in games where people began to think that the way that we play games signifies something more than just entertainment. That in fact, it becomes part of who we are as people. And this notion that play has a significant function in our lives is at the heart of the New Games movement. And I think that it's an important idea that's arising again in games. So today you begin to see games that address social issues, that are activist in nature, or simply make us have empathy for another way of living or another condition. Are any of you familiar with the game on the left, Peacemaker? Has anyone played this game? This is a game in which you take on the role of a leader in the Middle East and try to solve the issues in the Middle East. Very, very difficult game, right? You can play it for free, by the way, on the web. You can download Peacemaker and play it for free. The game on the right is called Darfur is Dying. Has anyone seen this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so Darfur is Dying is a game that actually came out of the research labs at USC, where I teach, at the Interactive Media Division. And it's a game in which you take on the role of a refugee in a camp in the Sudan. And in this first episode of the game, you're sent out to fetch water in the desert, and you're attempting to evade the Janjaweed militia. What's kind of sad about this particular episode is that the people who are sent out to gather water are children generally, because if they send out young women, they'll be raped, and if they send out young men, they'll be killed. So it puts you in a position of empathy for this terrible moment and this terrible condition. And so the game is an activist game, and attempting to create a sense of consciousness. So to me, this is a really interesting time because it's a time when we can ask questions about what games are and what they might become. And I run a lab at USC called the Electronic Arts Game Innovation Lab. And it's called the Electronic Arts Game Innovation Lab because Electronic Arts funded our program and this lab. And they funded it, I think, as part of an initiative to really begin to play a part in defining what the next generation of digital entertainment looks like and feels like. And in the lab, we do experiments and play in many different forms. So not just in screen-based games, but in physical games, large-scale public play, immersive games, virtual reality, things like this. So we're very interested in the many forms that play can take. One of the most powerful concepts that drives the research that we do in the Game Innovation Lab is the notion of the magic circle. And this is a term taken from Johann Huizinga's 1938 book on the play element in culture. I don't know if you're familiar with this book, but if you're interested in play, it's a very good book to begin with. And the notion of the magic circle is that it offers permission and license to act according to the rules of play. So when you play a game, you step inside this temporary space, this temporary world, in which the rules of the game take over the rules of real life. Inside the magic circle, we perform actions that we might not otherwise do in real life. We can perform actions of heroism or of betrayal. We can form alliances with people that we don't even know. We can sort of have a chance to rehearse in a playful way situations that might not come up in our everyday lives. And so, for me, what this concept brings up is the question of,
as game designers,